All right, Craig. Here we go, boss man. One more time for the Gipper. One more time for the Gipper. Just one more time. That's all it's going to take. One more of them. Come on, chat. You know what time it is. We need some likes. We need them fast. Not dead yet. That's what we're going to say. Not dead yet.
Not dead yet. One time for the one time.
That's right. Just need it. Just one more time, boys and girls.
Ellie will have a chance at the plate in the 9th.
I love that too. I really wish Elliott was leading off more innings. It feels like, because it's just like if he can get on base to lead an inning off, that is just elite. A couple times tonight we found ourselves with Ellie getting on with 2 outs, which is it's great every time he gets on, no doubt. But man, him stealing second base and then getting to third base with 2 outs is obviously a lot less dangerous. A lot less dangerous. Let's get this screen over here. I'm actually going to turn on Sadak and Welsh here. Here we go. Gonna need it. I'm gonna need it.
The Guardians are bringing in Emmanuel Clace.
Kyle with the super chat. Super chat for a 2-run Ellie bomb. Let's get it. Let's get it, Kyle. Boy, do we need it. We could use it. We need it in the worst way.
Emmanuel Clace leads the MLB, 42 saves, but he also leads them in blown saves with 12. 6.7 ERA over his last 8 appearances.
I do like that. I'm going to have to put the chat away. There's Mouse Cop.
Chat goes away. I'm a little surprised to see Fraley batting here.
Very surprised. Very surprised. But you know what? He's been the best hitter. One of the best hitters all year for the Reds against right-handed pitching, so it's just really hard to turn your back now. But, boy. Oh,
broken bat.
Gosh, just shattered it. Shattered it. It's 1 out.
All right. Let's go, Nuelve. Good opportunity here to extend his hitting streak. We need it.
Boy, what a good liner that is right there for him, though. Come on, Nuelve. Get up.
Get through.
Get down.
Go!
Come on.
Let's
Get the
go.
second. Get the second. Come on. Hustle.
Oh, my God. He's staying at second. Any chance they missed the tag here?
No. I mean, might as well. Did it not hit that guy at
Did
all?
that cop?
Ooh, it's close.
Didn't tag him until the chest.
It's close. You got to challenge it.
You got to challenge it. He's safe.
I don't know if he's safe, Craig, but
I don't think they had the tag back on.
He didn't have the tag back on, Craig, but he's so close. I think his hands were up when he went to touch the base, and I'm afraid that did the heel of his hand hit that or not? All right, stop it.
Here we go.
I need a pause out of it. I need a pause.
He's on.
He's safe.
And the tag's not there. He's safe.
I think he's safe.
Does he stay on? Fingers are still on. Tag's off.
Tag's off. He's
safe.
He's safe, but I'm more. You know where I'm going with this.
Yep. Stand. Let's see. I mean, if the replay center sees that same replay that we just saw, I find it hard to believe that they're going to let that stand. Come on.
He's safe. I did he get touched on the finger?
No.
Nope. He's safe. He's safe to say. I mean, he's safe, man. I don't know how else to say it.
Oh my God.
How?
I have it muted. I assume it was stands.
Yeah, it was stands. I don't know how.
Come on, Ellie.
Pass ball. Now I know the situation's different, but what an at bat by Noelve too. Just putting the ball in play, making things happen. Ball ricochets, doesn't hit the cop first and foremost. That looked like it was definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
How that stands, I just don't understand that, man.
MLB is going to have to answer some questions. He's not going to run that out.
I think he just thought it was going to go foul. I don't mind that.
Do you think it was foul in the box?
I don't think so.
Wow. What a I mean, he didn't even act like he was going to run.
Yeah, I just think that he didn't know it was fair. I'm going to sit here and wait, make sure. Yeah, I didn't hit him. All right, let's do a show.
Let's do it.
All right. That one's a tough one to take a little bit, Craig. There was a lot of fight in this team. I know that I'm supposed to say the season's dead, but until I watch the Cubs win tonight, then I can't do it. I just can't do it, Craig. So I'll let you know in 3 innings if I think the season's dead. But for now, it's still alive. And unfortunately, I don't know how you feel, Craig, but it kind of felt like tonight was one of those nights where you just you got outplayed by a team that just played better tonight. I don't really feel like the Reds gave this one away. I know that some may feel that way, perhaps, but ultimately I thought the Guardians hit the ball really, really well. They hit the ball hard. Andrew Abbott, it's not, I don't want to say it's not his fault, but ultimately, we're asking, and I tweeted about this earlier, Craig, we're asking a lot of these guys to extend themselves to places they've never been before in unfair circumstances to a certain extent, right? Like these are times where rookies usually, they're playing kind of sparingly. Andrew Abbott, for all intents and purposes, if this team wasn't trying to chase down a playoff spot and they didn't have literally anyone else, would have been shut down in my mind weeks ago. But instead, he's out there grinding it out. And say whatever you want, I thought Shane Bieber looked really, really good tonight. I know I usually come in here and I complain about the offense when they only score 3 runs. Tonight, you're not going to get that from me. I watched and I seen and I felt like there was some good at bats. Unfortunately, they didn't all go the Reds' way, but ultimately Shane Bieber was a big reason as to why. And it's just hard for me to sit here and be all that critical. I know that seems maybe oxymoronic here. Every single time the Reds this year have had a chance to kind of make a statement, it seems like they haven't, Craig. But I don't know when you watch this game if there's anything in particular that has stood out, obviously, right before we get to the box score recap. And, whenever you're ready for that, we'll obviously fire away.
Yeah, I think, like you said, first and foremost, I think Shane Bieber looked like Shane Bieber of old. I mean, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, and no walks. And Shane Bieber's one of those pitchers that if you get behind against him, you just are not going to be successful. He came into tonight with one of the most successful batting averages against when he was ahead with 2 strikes. I think it was like opponents were hitting 122 coming into tonight when they had 2 strikes against them on the season. So 5th best in the MLB. And, quite frankly, the first couple innings, I felt like the Reds were hitting the ball pretty well. They got a number of hard hit balls. I tweeted about it that I felt like they were making really good contact. It's just baseball's kind of a fluky game sometimes. The Reds ended up with 13 hard hit balls to Cleveland's 6. I mean, when you look at the box score and you look at kind of exit velocity and some of the things that you would typically expect to see from a ball game, I mean, a number of the stats really went the Reds' way. Yeah. It just didn't translate to hits and to runs until late in the game. And, Abbott ended up going 2 1/3. He had 8 hits and 3 runs. He only gave up 4 hard hit balls. I mean, I think realistically in a middle of the year game that has less of a effect on the overall season, he probably is able to push through this and go a little bit longer. But David Bell obviously is managing like Game 7 and needed to take him out. I think, quite frankly, he lost a lot of the energy that he had early on. His balls were flat. He wasn't able to locate them the way he had in the previous, his first 10 starts. He didn't walk anybody today, but just his whiff rate at 7% on the game compared to 26% on the season coming into tonight. So, give the Guardians credit. They were finding the ball with the swings, and lucky for them, it was finding open spaces. But I didn't feel like the Reds gave it away tonight. I didn't feel like they lost the game. And quite frankly, I didn't feel like the Guardians won the game. It just was one of those games that just the ball was falling Cleveland's way. And, in Tito's last outing as Guardians manager at home. So disappointing for sure. But like you said, I'm not ready to write it off just yet. I still think things could go the Reds' way, but like you said, a lot of things got to go their way.
They're going to need some help from the bullpen of from the Cubs, which is doable, which is possible. The Braves have 9 outs right now to hopefully score 2 or more runs at least if they can hold the Cubs. But ultimately, I didn't see it that way. I'll be honest, Craig. I know that sometimes this is where the stat cast or the baseball savant era loses me a little bit, and it doesn't mean that I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right. None of that. When I watched the game tonight, I felt like the Indians had good at bats. They hit the ball hard, or they hit the ball in spots where, they hit it hard enough, right? Like you say. I know that maybe an 89 or a 90-mile-an-hour ground ball through the left side isn't a hard-hit ball technically from the StatCast crew, but for all intents and purposes, for my money, there are balls that are good at bats versus non-good at bats. You can't just strictly go off of exit velo, and I'm not suggesting that's what you're doing, but I'm just saying the overall appearance at the beginning of the game, it just felt like the Guardians were having a lot of good at bats. And honestly, I had felt like at one point it felt like a minor miracle that the Reds were only down by 4 based off of the way that things have gone. You start the game off for one, you swing at a 3-0 pitch early on, and you have a runner on first base with 1 out, and you swing at a 3-0 pitch. You're thinking, worst case scenario for the Guardians right there. You get a walk, you get guys on first and second with 1 out, you tack on. Instead, on a 3-0 pitch, you ground into a double play. Jonathan India made a good play. There was some ground balls, I will admit, that weren't hit all that hard, but they were double play balls, and for whatever reason, this team refuses to play double play depth, and maybe nobody else in the league does that. Maybe that's old school. Maybe I'm turning into the old man yells at cloud. I guess I'm to the point where, what's the delta there? Well, and again, these are things that I'm going to dive into in the offseason and start to get a real understanding, because I just can't fathom the reason as to why you wouldn't play traditional double play depth the same way they've played it for 100 years, because there's a reason based off where you play in the infield, you have to get to certain spots in order to be able to make certain plays. And I guess my point, Craig, is I want to know what the delta is. How big of a difference is it between shifting that guy all the way over and having him play, like Jonathan India, having him play a normal second base double play depth position? Because tonight there was 2 double play balls that they didn't get to that led to runs. And I get the concept, and I understand where the analytics crowd's going to come at me, and they're going to say, well, over the course of 5,000 ground balls, Craig, 25 more times out of the 5,000 ground balls, you're actually going to be able to make the play playing over there in the hole versus the other way. And I asked the question, and I think that it's a fair one, is, well, what about the morality of a clubhouse when you hit a routine double play, a rollover, a routine double play ball that doesn't get felled and it doesn't get turned, and now you turn around and you realize that you made a good pitch and you got a guy to roll over a ground ball and nobody's there because you decided that you wanted to try to find a place where he might hit a ball harder. I guess my point at the end of it all is I'd just rather give up a normal hit, a hard hit ground ball to the right side through the hole between first and second. I can live with that. I just can live with that. I can't continue to watch balls bounce 6 and 7 and 8 times, 5 feet, 6 feet right of the second base bag, and they're barely through a hole because Ellie's not quite over far enough to get to it, and Jonathan India is literally playing 20, maybe 25 to 20 to 25 feet from the first base bag. I know it sounds like I'm ranting and raving about something that ultimately is a knee-jerk reaction, and maybe some of it is. Certainly when you do a post-game show after every single game and you watch it, you are a little emotional, Craig, so I'm not trying to bash the whole thing. I just want to know what the delta is. And I guess my point is, if it's only if we're talking 20 to 25 times out of 1,000, we're talking less than 5% of the time, Craig, I'd just rather live with the idea of losing the traditional way than to try to be smarter than everybody else and do something other than not. It reminds me a little bit of the 2-point conversion in football where you're going to go for 2 every single time. Well, when you don't get it the first 2 times, it's a little demoralizing, it doesn't feel right. The flow of the game doesn't feel the way it should. And that's a long-winded way of saying I hate the shift with double play. To be clear, because people are going to crush me for saying this, I'm only talking about double play situations. I'm not an idiot. If there's not a double play opportunity, I'm cool with shifting because there's a reason they banned the shift. I understand that. I just don't like the double play opportunity when Jonathan India is, literally 70 feet from second base.
Well, and I don't want to spend the whole show talking about it because I think there's a lot more that goes into it. And like you said, we can spend the offseason kind of debating it. But I mean, to your point, I mean, if you're okay with it without anybody on base, then you have to be okay with it with runners on base, because the ultimately the reason you're okay with it when nobody's on base is because the statistics tell you that's where they're going to hit the ball, right? So if the statistics tell you that's where they're going to hit the ball most of the time, and you want them there when nobody's on base, then why wouldn't you want them there when people are on base? It's not like they changed the batter by putting a runner on base, right? So I get your frustration, and it kind of goes to what I was saying at the beginning of the game. It didn't really feel like the Indians had, or the Guardians, wow. It didn't really feel to me like the Guardians were overly crushing the ball, but it was just finding its way through. And again, to your point, there were balls that felt like were certainly reachable if you were in a different position. But I feel like we have that every single game. Maybe. The one that frustrated me for sure was the one that was up the middle that India kind of like slid on instead of diving for. I don't want to pile on Jonathan India. I know you have your feelings on him as a defensive second baseman, but even the broadcast talked about in that position, you need to at least lay out and see if you can't keep the ball in the infield. And sliding is not the same as laying out. It's quite the opposite, actually. So I was a little frustrated by that ball specifically early on in the game, but it just, like I said, it felt like, someone said it in the chat, it just felt like the universe was for Tito Francona tonight. The ball was going the Guardians' way. Some of the hard hit balls that you would hope the
I get your point. The only pushback I would say to that, Craig, is that when you got a guy on first base, you have the opportunity to get 2 outs on 1 ball. When there's nobody on base, Craig, you can't do that. It's impossible. So if you're telling me that a small majority of the time that a ball's hit to the right side where you might be able to make Jonathan India, I'll say this, and then we'll shut up about it. We'll argue about this at length in the offseason, I promise you. But I'll promise you this. If a ball gets hit to Jonathan India where he's playing at second base, the amount of double plays that they're going to turn from where he's standing at originally over there on the far right side of the infield is next to none. Next to none. You're not getting 2 outs from over there. If you want to convince me you're going to get 1 out, of course you're going to get 1 out, but you're not getting 2. I'd much rather take the small chance of playing him in traditional double play depth to where if the ball is hit up the middle, you're going to get 2 outs automatically. 2 outs better than 1 out. That's my point. We'll move on because it just your point stands. I'm not trying to say that. I was just going to tell you that's kind of the difference in playing guys in certain positions when there's a guy on base versus not. Let's do this. Let's run through the box score recap like we always do. We'll obviously get into all the topics that are on the list here, and we'll do our best. We'll do our best in a show that feels tough to do, but that's why we do them, right, Greg? I mean, we're here for a reason, baby.
That's right. We're here for the people.
That's right. Go ahead, take it away.
Well, let's do it. The Guardians obviously got out to a 4-0 lead. It started in the second inning. Laureano doubled to left. He ended up stealing third before Freeman singled him home. Freeman ended up stealing second, and Rocchio scored him home, singled him home, while Rocchio was thrown out at second trying to advance. The Guardians would add 2 more soft hits, but not add to the run total and lead 2-0 after 1. 4 of the 5 hits in the inning under 94 miles per hour. Again, not to add to the argument, but they just seemed to find the grass. In the third, Kwan singled to left, advanced to second on a wild pitch. He would then score on a single by Josh Naylor to right field, making it 3-0, and that was it for Andrew Abbott's day. Final line on the day for Andrew Abbott, 2 1/3, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 strikeout, no walks, 45 pitches, 29 swings, only 2 whiffs, 7% compared to 26% on his season average. Duarte would come in and strike out Laureano, and Maile would catch Josh Naylor trying to steal to end the inning. He had 2 different caught stealing on the night, which was nice to see as well from him. The Guardians led off the 4th with a walk. Straw would then single, and Tainio would drive home Rocchio on a seeing eye single, and the Guardians' lead would become 4-0. In the 6th inning, Jonathan India doubled down the left field line, and TJ Friedel singled him home, a duo that seemed to have caught fire over the last couple of days and has kind of served as a spark plug for the Reds. Steer and CES, unfortunately, would strike out to end the inning, and it would be 4-1 Guardians. In the 8th, though, Martini led off with a pinch hit double to right center, followed by an India double to score Martini. India advances on a Friedel ground out and then scores on a ground out by Spencer Steer, bringing the Reds within 1 at 4-3. Unfortunately, that is where it would end. Looking at the box score, Jonathan India 2 for 4 on the night with an RBI and 2 runs. Ellie with another base hit tonight. He also walked and stole 2 bases. I'm assuming we will have a conversation about the decision to try to score on that booted ground ball in the 5th inning. The bullpen ended up being 5 2/3 because the Guardians didn't have to bat in the 9th. But 5 2/3, 1 earned run was charged to Duarte. Bullpen, yet another solid outing, and an outing that you hope will, kind of continue to springboard them. They've been really solid the last couple of games. So that's your box score recap, sponsored as always by Betfred Sportsbook, the premier sportsbook in Greater Cincinnati and Ohio.
Best sportsbook in the world, as they say. Listen. As always, we're not gonna completely stop the show tonight to do the whole Braves thing. But just as some may know, I'm not counting the season. Literally cannot be dead until the Cubs win tonight and the Marlins win, or the Marlins win. I'll leave it at that. I'll say even or if the Marlins win. If the Marlins lose and the Cubs lose, it feels disgusting because this team has been given every chance in the world to make the postseason, right? All the things that you would hope would break their way, Craig, have, for the most part, happened. We will find out, obviously, if we can get another miracle tonight. But it's just not over because I keep saying it, as ridiculous as it feels, and I've been saying all along, they need to go 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. And there's no doubt that the Twins and the Pirate series is ultimately, in my opinion, the series we're going to look back on and think that's the series that's tough to get past. We'll see if Ozuna can do something special here. And he's got a full count with men on first and third. With nobody out, the Cubs are up 3-1. Michael Roth with another super chat, man. Says, I appreciate everyone's thoughts last night and today for my son. I'm grateful for the support. With that said, we are the Reds baseball-related Chatterbox plans for the offseason. Hopefully you guys at least a weekly show. Michael, we'll be doing something. We're probably going to take a short break, to be honest. Obviously, we're going to take a little short break. Maybe we come back at some point through, I don't know, maybe the World Series. We'll get back on track a little bit. I don't know. I'll kind of leave that up with Nick. He does a lot of the heavy lifting here. But for those that care about Ozuna, he's just grounded into what looks like a double play. No, it's not. Oh, my gosh. Nico Horner flips the ball over Dansby Swanson. Everybody's safe. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, you can't make this up, man. I mean, that's a routine double play, and he flips it over Dansby's head. All right.
The Cubs just aren't playing good baseball right now.
No, and you know what? I would argue the Reds aren't playing great either. It's just, Nico Horner's a great player, too. Nico Horner's a great player. Mound visit. First and second, nobody out. Braves down 3-2. All right. Let's talk about Andrew Abbott for a half a second, Craig, and we'll continue to bounce around. We'll bounce back from the Braves game, obviously, back to us, and we'll keep that going on, obviously, throughout the entirety of the show, and we'll probably end up watching the end of this thing. I just feel like I tweeted earlier about how this Reds team has asked a lot of these young guys to do things that they otherwise wouldn't ordinarily ask people to do. And I was specifically talking about Andrew Abbott. I really wasn't getting into the Steers and the Friedels and the Ellies of the world because, players that are playing every day, if they get some rest, I do think they can probably overextend themselves a little bit when they're young. The one thing that I'm not sure that I'm going to buy into is the Andrew Abbott thought that if there was any chance in the world that the Reds should or could shut him down, they would. I don't know how you feel about it, but it just seems like he's labored the last few outings at least. And I don't have a lot of confidence in him, not because I don't like him. It's not because I don't think he has a good future. It's not because I don't believe in Andrew Abbott. I just think that he's met the time of the year where, the arm's it's just ready to be done.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's never thrown as much as he has this year. And, you look at his first 10 starts, and he was off to an incredible start. But one of the things that changed, and it didn't come to fruition tonight, it didn't really matter, but his first 10 starts, 2.77 walks per 9. His last 10 starts have ballooned almost double, up to 4.96 walks per 9. So he's losing control, which is obviously an indicator of fatigue in general. I think, again, like a lot of the young pitchers on this staff, they've just got to develop secondary and tertiary pitches. When you're throwing 50% plus fastballs and your fastball's only 92 miles an hour, you're going to find a lot of bats. And that's what happened tonight. I mean,
what the hell did you just say? Secondary and what?
And tertiary.
What was that? Say it again.
Tertiary.
Tertiary. You don't break out tertiary on Chatterbox Reds. That intellect level is way too high. I got made fun of earlier for saying scene. I'll say scene as much as I want. All right, AJ. Tertiary.
Oh man.
I want to make sure I heard that right. All right, so tertiary pitches. Keep going.
He needs more than one pitch, Trace. He's got to have a second and a third pitch he can go to. He's throwing 50% fastballs. His whiff rate tonight, like I said, he had 2 swings and misses on the entire night. I mean, that's just not going to get it done. And he's, the movement's not there. The spin rate's not there. It's just, for a guy who has clearly reached his kind of his cap in terms of what he's able to do in a season right now. And it's no fault of his own. Nobody expected to have to ask this much out of him this year. But if the Reds pitching staff was healthy, would they have asked him to make 21 starts this year? Probably not. But that's where we're at, and you can't make excuses for it. All you can do is continue to go out there and put forth your best effort and see what we can do. But for me tonight, it was just a complete lack of swings and misses, and the Guardians clearly had Andrew Abbott's number, whether it was because they knew what was coming or just because it was extremely hittable. I mean, velocity was down a little bit on all his pitches, and just in general, it just flat. Everything's flat.
Yep. Cubs infield is in. Harris grounded softly to first base, moved the runners up to second and third. Sean Murphy, the hero of last night with his fly ball to Suzuki, steps in, and he's got the infield in. He's got a 1-1 count currently with 1 out. Men on second and third, 3-2. Cubs currently bottom of the 7th. Let's talk about the offense tonight, and then obviously I have Ellie on here as well. I think that Ellie's a pretty big critical piece tonight. I thought he looked much better at the plate, thankfully. He kind of carried over what he had done last night. I get it. I think he had 1 hit tonight, yes, but he also got on base multiple times, and he took bags. I think that's the biggest piece with Ellie that really maybe goes underappreciated by the average fan or by somebody that probably just looks at the scoreboard and looks at the statistics in regards to batting average, on base, all those types of things. Just the fact that he puts pressure on the defense is it makes him elite. That makes him elite. He forces the opponent to make mistakes that don't show up in the box score. It's nice to see him get going again tonight. He gave the Reds a chance. I think now's the time maybe to bring up that he was aggressive. He got thrown out at home. I didn't have a problem with it. There was 2 outs in the inning. I know he got thrown out, but ultimately, you know what? If he bobbles that or he throws that ball offline just a little bit, Craig, I think he scores, and we're talking about something completely different.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it either. Like you said, I think at the end of the day, you're putting the defense in a position to make a mistake, which they do regularly when Ellie is on base. That's really where he becomes elite, is by challenging defenses, and why for a month plus or 2 months, it felt like he was struggling because it felt to me like he was trying to hit the ball out of the yard every single time he was up to the plate. You look at it tonight, he made contact on 3 of his 4 plate appearances and walked in the 4th. So, I mean, the nice part for me is that the swings and misses and the chase rate are down. I'd much rather see a nice, easy swing from Elly De La Cruz get on base and force the defense's hands. And what happens when you do that is not only do you force the defense's hands, but with the strength that Elly has and the bat speed that Elly has, you're going to run into pitches like you did last night, and you're going to hit bombs even without having to swing for the fences every single time. And so, yeah, I mean, I've loved what I've seen from Elly for the last 4 or so games, including tonight, even though he was 1 for 3. I felt like it was a good game out of him. And I 2 stolen bases. And I don't mind the aggressiveness, because at the end of the day, what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to discourage aggressiveness by Elly De La Cruz in any situation. If he thinks that he can score or he thinks he can gain a base, then by golly, I want him to try and do it, because most times he's going to end up being successful on that.
Sean Murphy struck out. He did swing at ball 4, and then he swung through a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. There's a pinch hitter, Kevin Pillar, at the plate with men on second and third with 2 outs now. So big hit by Pillar. Next thing you know, the Cubs would be trailing. They could get out of this inning, though, escape a huge jam, and get out of here with a 3-2 lead. But they are throwing Smiley for the second straight day here in the 8th inning. In the 7th inning. So they're going to have some bullpen issues on the back end of this thing, you'd like to think, Craig. And that's a pop-up, and there's no way the Cubs do this more than once. I mean, that just seems impossible. All right. They catch the pop-up for once. 3-2, Braves. That's we'd be lying in the chat. We'd all be telling ourselves that one hurts. That one hurts. So we'll see if we can't get bailed out again, but it definitely feels like we're in a situation where there's just no way we get bailed out again. But we'll find out. We will find out.
End of 7, and Atlanta will have the top of their lineup coming up, so don't rule it out.
Yeah. No, it's not over. That's for damn sure.
It's not over. Far from over.
The reason it's not over is because the Cubs bullpen, speaking of bullpens, we have a bullpen that continues to find ways to give us a chance to win. I just can't believe how many times this team throws 6-7 innings and only gives up 1 run. And you know what really, really burns? The thing that hurts the most maybe at the end of the year when you look back, and yes, you have the Sunday in Oakland, and I've made jokes about that, and I'll continue to make jokes about it because it was terrible. But I just the Saturday game where that bullpen gave up so many runs, it's just tough to swallow a little bit because they've been so good. They've been so good that if it ends up being that one game, then I guess that's part of baseball. There's a reason they play 162 of them, and out of 162, Craig, more than likely one of them is going to be a really, really bad loss. And it just so happens it came towards the very end of the year that everybody's going to remember. And to be fair, the Cubs just had one the other night by dropping a fly ball. So, I don't know. We're in a spot now where if this is it, Craig, what a hell of a year, man. I don't know. I just don't know what else to say there is about this bullpen outside the fact that if you were to say, hey, going into next year, here's a fun little topic for us. Going into next year, this team's going to have the opportunity to probably go out and get a couple arms, I would think, for the bullpen. But the question bears, who do you trust going into next year out of this bullpen? They've all been pretty good, and by pretty good, some of them have been unbelievably good. Some have had their times of greatness, and some have had their times where you realize that there's a reason you probably never heard of them until this year. But which guys stick out to you? You say, hey, I really want this person back pitching for this team.
Well, I think you start with the obvious. I mean, Alexis Diaz carried this team for the first half of the year for sure. Was a shutdown closer. Had a couple hiccups in the second half, but I think, quite frankly, you have to trust him. Loved what I've seen out of Fernando Cruz this year. The one that was surprising to me that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but that, in my opinion, at least has earned a spot on this squad moving forward is Ian Jabot. He's felt like a guy who can come in basically any situation and get outs. He did it again tonight. He came in and pitched a scoreless eighth. So the one thing about this bullpen is that it's been guys that you didn't really expect it from. Obviously, Lucas Sims came into the year as someone that you expected a lot out of. Ended up being a guy that maybe you didn't use as much as a lot of people expected. But the good part of it is that you've got a lot of people who have stepped up. Let's run down the list real quick. Obviously, Alexis Diaz, I think we agree that you have to trust him moving into next year, and he probably stays in your closer role, right?
Yes, but I'm with Kirby on this, and I know that sounds wild. I really don't want to go into this tonight, and I don't think that we should always do this. I would just say this about Diaz. Do I expect him to be back? Yes. Do I think that he earns it every bit to be back? Yes. If someone's going to do something ridiculous, Craig, because they want that shutdown guy, then I will just tell you from a bullpen perspective, very rarely are you going to find me thinking that these guys are irreplaceable, if that makes sense. I don't want to make it sound like I want to trade everybody all the time, because I don't, and I'm not suggesting for a second that's the best move for the Reds. But if you were to ask me peak value of a reliever, Diaz is about as high as one could get, rightfully so. But I would also say when I watch him, there are times where it feels like to me Diaz shows that there are, how do I say this without making it sound like an idiot, because he's an all-star, he's an unbelievable reliever. I guess he just, there's not like a huge wow factor there for me all the time, where I'm just like a Aroldis Chapman maybe at the beginning of his career, where you're just like, okay, how the hell is anyone going to hit this? It's impossible. And maybe some of it's recency bias because of just the way he struggled a little bit towards the end of the year. I'm not saying I would 100% trade Diaz. I'm just saying if they were to make a trade with Diaz in it, I wouldn't say that that's the worst move in the history of the Reds, is what I'm getting at. Hopefully that makes sense. People don't think that I'm trying to suggest we trade our all-star closer or anything like that. I just think that you got guys that have shown they throw the ball really, really well. I mean, Fernando Cruz, Ian Jabot, I get they don't have names, but at the same time, when you watch their stuff and you look at who they've been and who they are, it's hard not to like those guys, Craig.
Yeah, and I'll throw in a name as well that wasn't on the squad at the beginning of the year, and Sam Moll, and what he's been able to do as a left-handed specialist out of the bullpen. I mean, the guy that you had at the trade deadline has come in and kind of been a cornerstone of your bullpen. He hasn't pitched as much maybe as you would like to see out of a left-handed specialist, but that role has changed a lot now that you've got to face 3 batters and some, the changes to the rules. But I've liked what I've seen out of him for sure. I said it a couple of days ago. I think there's an opportunity for Fernando Cruz to really compete for that closer role. Here's what I have to say about that. And, I think ultimately more than any other role on the team, a closer is so overanalyzed, and maybe not overanalyzed, but just
overvalued
more than any other position. They are, they're probably overvalued for sure. They're overvalued, but I think people judge them a lot harder than almost any other position. And I say that because they're mostly put into opportunities where it's high leverage and they have to, come up big. And so when they don't, it stands out in your mind because it feels like a huge blown opportunity, where if a batter strikes out swinging with bases loaded and 2 outs, that doesn't stand out in your mind as much as a closer blowing a save. It just feels like that position is under the microscope at all times. And so, you look at Alexis Diaz, and I think he ended up with like maybe 2 blown saves on the entire year, but it felt like cracks showed multiple times throughout the year. And that's probably why we, and I think
he's been, of his last. And to be fair, I mean, listen, we're saying he's great. I think we all know that Alexis Diaz was fantastic this year, and we're not trying to downplay it. And that's where this whole thing gets turned sideways, and your critics and your haters will come out and say that you're look at you're just getting rid of all the good players. You don't like any of them, whatever. I would just say, Craig, I think the value piece is where we stand on this, and we both agree. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what it is that you have and the depth that this team has. It certainly feels like heading into next year, this team probably needs to add 2 or 3 arms, in my opinion. Jed in the chat asked, what does this Reds bullpen, or what does other bullpens have that this team doesn't have? I would argue that there's some other good bullpens. You'd like to think they'd have a couple good left-handed options, not just, if we're being honest, Sam Moll's been unbelievable. But if it wasn't for him coming over at the deadline, do you really trust Alex Young? And then on top of that, you watch some of these games, and Velo's probably the number one thing that I don't think that this Reds bullpen really has. There's not really that many guys that come in that you're like, you expect strikeouts. Now, they've done a really good job of getting strikeouts to a certain extent, but there are leverage situations. Like, for instance, I guess maybe, and this is being very, very critical. All right, this is really, really getting into the weeds on this a little bit, Craig. Every time you bring in Diaz and you're looking for a strikeout, right, or you need a strikeout, it doesn't feel like you're gonna get a strikeout more times than not. In a way, I if that makes sense. He's just not gonna velo overpower guys. If that slider's not working, then ultimately, it's just not working. So, and I guess it's just concerning to. I don't want to say it's concerning. If Diaz comes back, I'd be thrilled to death. But I just wanted to make it known that, from a bullpen perspective, you add 2 or 3 arms, and we keep it moving. I don't know how you feel, but this team has a lot of flexibility going into this offseason, and obviously we still have 3 games left, so I don't make it sound like the season's over, because guess what? The Cubs still haven't won this baseball game. Okay? The
bullpen and probably the outfield feel like the 2 positions that need the most attention. Yeah. I'll say this real quick about Alexis Diaz before we move on to potentially talking about the outfield. But I have this feeling, and this is what makes me nervous about Alexis Diaz, and it was mentioned in the chat. The thing that makes me nervous about someone like Alexis Diaz is that they rely on chase rate. And I think there eventually will become a time in MLB. We've seen it in so many different areas where statistics and analytics catch up to people. There will come a time where you're going to have to actually put a ball in the strike zone. And right now, he doesn't have that pitch that he can rely on in the zone to get outs, right? He relies on a pitch that ends up out of the zone nearly every time in order to get those outs. And so you look at guys like, even Mariano Rivera, right? He had that classic cutter that he could throw on the inside part of the plate, saw guys off, but it was in the zone a majority of the time. It's not like he was getting guys to chase. He was just sawing them off at the bat. So one of the things that makes me nervous is just, what does the future of the MLB look like against pitchers like Alexis Diaz, who is not getting guys out by putting the ball in the zone?
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, that's more than fair. I think that's probably where my issues have always lied. It's like those guys swing at those sliders that almost hit them in the back foot, but at some point, when you stop swinging at that, if that's a thing, then obviously that's when maybe Diaz struggles. All right, there's a couple pretty important or not important questions. Maybe we get to, maybe we don't. Mousecop brings up a good question. Usually he's in there having fun with the chat, but he put his thinking cap on for once, I guess. Mousecop did. He asked about the catcher's position. I know we talked about the outfield, or we're going to get into the outfield, and we might as well just touch on the catcher's position here really quickly. That's a tough one. That one's a really tough one for me, because I think that there is sparks, there are signs, there are small glimmers of hope with Tyler Stevenson. I think Tyler Stevenson, if he can catch just a little bit, man, just catch a little bit, then he's an above average catcher in this league. I mean, he can hit. For a catcher, Stevenson can hit. He's just so bad defensively that it makes it hard to really appreciate that, if that makes sense. Maley been excellent, but again, I don't know. Are you putting Maley behind the plate and trusting Maley to be a guy that's going to be a part of that core group of people that are going to win you a World Series? I don't know. I'm not trying to downplay Maley by any stretch, but I I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm indifferent on it. I'm not sure. If they keep Stevenson, I'm not going to be super upset about it. If they go out and make a trade and get somebody, then it wouldn't surprise me either.
Stevenson had yet another ball tonight that he failed to catch appropriately that should have been strike 3 that ended up being called a ball because he doesn't know how to frame a pitch. So
that is true, but that umpire sucked there, by the way.
He was really inconsistent tonight.
Yeah, terrible call by that umpire.
Yeah, it wasn't the only one. So
I know, but Tyler Stevenson wasn't even in his way. I don't understand how he missed that. Acuna he gets on first, though.
He missed a lot on the outside part of the plate. That one was on the inside. He didn't miss a ton on the inside. That was Anyway,
go ahead.
Long story short, and then the other piece of it, and I've talked about this on the show previously, is that I feel like Tyler Stevenson is lazy behind the plate. Quite frankly, I don't feel like he drops down and blocks balls the way you would expect a professional catcher to block a ball. The number of balls that go 5-hole on Tyler Stevenson is asinine to me. I'm not going to begin to pretend that I understand what it's like to try and catch a 100-mile-an-hour fastball or an 87-mile-an-hour curveball that bounces in front of you. But what I do know is that when I look at the good defensive catchers, that they are down, they're blocking the ball, the gloves between the legs, and they're staying there. What I see from Tyler Stevenson pretty regularly is that, 1, he doesn't get down on his knees, and 2, the glove comes up as he tries to catch the ball. And what happens is the ball just skips underneath him rather than, just hitting the glove or bouncing up into the chest protector. So I think there is a need.
God. I'm sorry, Craig.
No, go ahead.
What the kid show? Is anyone watching this game? Are you watching this game, Craig?
I can't. It's blacked out here. I don't get it.
Okay. Acuna goes to steal second. I don't know why everyone isn't screaming at Acuna to go to third. The catcher throws the ball legitimately to the traditional spot at shortstop because he tried to hold on to the ball because he realized Acuna was going to be safe, and he fires it out in the middle of left center field. It's in the middle of left center field, and Acuna's just sitting there laying on top of second base. Oh, man. That one broke my brain. I know I'm begging. I know that we're begging. Chat, trust me. I know we're begging. But what are we doing here? Braves, you've won 101 games. This can't be how. Anyway.
Yeah. So
ground ball through the right side. Acuna around third. Heads for home. He's safe. He's safe. Braves tie it. 3-3. Bottom of the 8th. Unbelievable. Season's not over. I don't have a voice. Season's not over, guys. Season's not over. What's the Marlins? What's the Marlins? Top 7, 2-2. Top 7, 2-2. Is that accurate? Let me make sure before I get going back into this Reds talk. Top 7, 2-2. That's where we're at. All right. Nobody. Clean inning. Top 7. 2-2. Mets are at home, so the Marlins are coming to hit in the top. Oh, wow, chat. All right, back to Stevenson. Listen, here's the thing, Craig. I'm 100% with you on Stevenson. Listen, the guy can't catch. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, the guy can't catch. If he could catch, we'd all love him because the dude would be one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball. And that's not hyperbole. That's just objectively a fact. And the sad part is he's just not a catcher. And can he get better? I don't know, man. I think it just comes down to athleticism, Craig. I think and I'm not saying you're wrong. You might be right, but I think you're getting fooled by his inathleticism, his inability to be able to move, his inability to be able to read pitches, his inability to be able to catch the ball fluidly. That you assume it as laziness. I just assume it as a guy can't catch. He's trying hard. He's just not good enough, and that's the scarier part of the two. I wish he was lazy. Because I think if he was lazy, Craig, you can get better from laziness. Like if you start trying, I think he tries. I just don't think he's good enough to be as when you watch him versus other catchers that are good defensively, it's night and day. Like it's not even the same game, right? It's almost like going and watching a college golfer and then going to watch a major championship with all the best golfers in the world. The college golfer looks good at times, yes, but then you go and you watch the professional golfer and you realize there's a vast difference between the two. That's just kind of where we're at. At least that's where I'm at with Tyler Stevenson. Do I think that he can still possibly be an everyday major league catcher? I want to say yes. My heart says no, or my brain says no. That's where I'm at. I don't mean to crush the kid. I think he cares. I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, the one other piece that I've brought up previously that I think is important to think about is that when you have a young pitching staff like the Reds have and will have again next year, that catcher can play a huge role in the success of that pitching staff. Quite frankly, they can serve as an extension of Derek Johnson. And so whether I don't know, right? We're not part of those conversations, whether Tyler Stevenson is amazing in terms of calling a game, and whether Luke Maile is amazing in terms of being able to identify things that pitchers are doing to try and get them back on track. I don't know. I'm sure there's stats out there that would probably tell me how good they are defensively outside of actually blocking balls and throwing guys out. But They have a role beyond that. And I think it's really important to make sure that we're putting our pitching staff in the best position to succeed. And that starts with the catcher. And that's in terms of places that you can control moving into next year. Derek Johnson's not going anywhere. David Bell's not going anywhere. The pitching staff isn't going to change substantially. You might, add in one arm here or there or whatever it might be. But the catcher is the position that you have control over for next year that could potentially have an impact on that. So that's the only thing I would throw out there as a consideration. Again, I don't know enough of the conversations that happen and behind the scenes, but the one thing I would ask is that whoever it is, we feel confident about their ability to help this pitching staff. And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's very fair too. I don't know. I don't know what the Reds are going to do at catch. I really don't. I wish if I did, I'd love to tell everybody, but it'll be interesting. There's a couple moves that I'm just not sure if the Reds believe that they have what they want. In fact, I would argue that the last few days have kind of said everything you need to know about what the Reds feel like Tyler Stevenson is as a catcher. As soon as Maile was healthy, he's played every day. So I don't know if that speaks more to the volumes that the pitching staff wants to throw to Maile, or if the Reds trust Maile more. I have no idea. We are going to do something here. I'm going to try to do something. I know it's not probably supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do this, but when did Trey start believing in stuff that you're supposed to do? Hold on. I'm going to try to do something for the chat here for people that don't know how to. Hold on.
Ooh.
All right, here's the deal. We're gonna act like here's what we're gonna do. Hold on. I can't do it this obviously though. Come on. Can't do it this obviously. Maybe I do this. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll do this number. So what were we talking about?
Well, we just finished the conversation about catcher. I know there was questions in the chat about what the infield looks like. Quite frankly, I feel like the infield's set. I don't think there's a whole lot of conversation there. You're probably going to be having a conversation about a platoon piece or a piece that can kind of fill in here or there. But I think for the most part, your infield is set for next year, regardless of what people think. Ellie is your shortstop. Matt McLean is probably your second baseman with India filling in there. CES is your first baseman, assuming Joey Votto doesn't come back. And I think Marte's your everyday third baseman. So one of those guys will probably DH while the other guys play the infield. And the outfield, I think, is really the question. I think Spencer Steer and TJ Friedel have certainly shown enough to be everyday outfielders. But beyond that, let's go one down. Beyond that, you've got a question of what the outfield looks like. But I don't think there's any question on the infield. The real question is, beyond Jonathan India, who's also on your bench, and Jose Barrero has certainly made a fight for that. But I don't know that the Reds are ready to commit to him being everyday platoon player.
Correct. No, I don't think they are either. We're going to have to be relatively wise about this, chat. We're going to have to be relatively wise about this. So your boy's going to do his best to kind of keep it moving in and out. Got to be wise about it. The internet's a smart place. It just is. It's a smart place. Listen, I'm not worried about opening day lineup right now. I know Michael asked that. I still think this team can make the postseason if we get lucky. So we might get lucky.
Well, I think we've addressed the opening day lineup. We just told you who the infield is.
Right.
The outfield is probably the question: who's going to be your right fielder? Will Benson has certainly shown enough.
Yes, he has.
When healthy, Jake Fraley has shown enough, but
right.
The last several weeks he hasn't been healthy, quite frankly. The real question is your catcher and what your pitching staff looks like. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think Hunter Green's your opening day starter, and I think your lineup for the most part is pretty set. The order that it is up for debate, and I think Nick would agree with me when I say that I don't really care that much what the actual order is, as long as the right guys are in there. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Did he just hit him?
Yeah, he hit him. Listen. Can we talk about something really quickly here?
I would love to.
People in the chat are talking about Ellie moving. We can't move Ellie this fast, guys. Okay, I'll tell you why. Can you at least hear me out on this just for half a second? I'm not suggesting for 1 second that Ellie De La Cruz might not end up playing center field. All right, he may. But it's one of those things where you got to at least give it a chance at shortstop, because if he is an elite shortstop, what it does allow the Reds to be and do is just a much different team. They're a much different team. I would argue too right now, where do you really want to play these other guys that, if you put Matt McClain, I'm just hypothetically speaking here, if you put Matt McClain at shortstop, then I would say you're going to have a defensive hole at second base. There's no way he throws him out. Yeah, he's safe. Damn. Then you're going to have a hole at second base, right? Yeah, that's just is what it is. And then if you move him to third base and you put Noelve at shortstop, you move him to center field, you put Noelve at shortstop, Matt McClain plays second base, then I would argue you're going to have a defensive deficiency at third base, which I don't know. I get where everybody's coming from, but again, I'd like to be able to see him play shortstop for another year before we keep it moving. Jeff Frazier asks, where's Arroyo going to play? Listen, Arroyo just got out of A-ball. He's in Double-A. He's 19 years old. All right, that guy is the guy that might replace Ellie when Ellie gets towards the end of his contract type stuff. That's the type of thing where I think we've gotten spoiled a little bit in this franchise. Because we just assume all of these guys are going to come back and be elite level Major League Baseball players every single time, and I just don't think that's the case. So, what's your thought on that, Craig? I have to see Ellie play shortstop one more year before I'm ready for me to deem that he needs to move. That's all. I mean, I'm not suggesting for a second that Ellie couldn't be a center fielder. I think he could. He's an athlete. But having an elite level defensive shortstop with Matt McClain, who's going to be an elite level second baseman, and I think Matt McClain can be an elite level shortstop too. I'm not downplaying that, Craig. But just having the idea of TJ Friedel in center, Ellie, McClain, and perhaps maybe a good defensive catcher, that the Reds have not had that many good players up the middle in a very, very long time.
For the people who are arguing that Ellie needs to move to the outfield, I think the question is simple. Obviously, if you move him to the outfield, the answer is center field. One, it's going to take time for him to adjust to center field. You don't just move to the outfield and just from day one track down balls like it's your job. Catching a fly ball is not as easy as people make it look. But to your point,
just ask Suzuki.
I think, just ask Suzuki. To your point, though, like moving him to center field just leaves you with another hole in the infield anyway. Like I understand that we have Matt McLain, who is, hopefully healthy next year, but we've spent all this time talking about the need to replace Jonathan India defensively. So if you take Ellie out, we've heard that Marte is not a shortstop based on his experiences at the minor league level. So it's not like you're going to move him there because then you still have a deficiency at shortstop. And I don't know who fills in at third. You talk Steer because you move Friedel over to left field. I think that you're not solving problems by doing that. You're just trying to escape things, and it just opens up more questions. And like you said, I think he's young. He's got lots of opportunities still to learn the position.
Yeah, a little flare into right field. The other thing I want to say, too, really quickly is it's going to be really tough to swallow this a little bit because earlier in the game there was a foul ball that they called a pass ball. Why that's not reviewable, I'll never know. But anyways, there was a check swing that hit the guy's bat. It went to the backstop, and the Cubs scored, and they called it a pass ball, and you can't review it. So the Cubs scored a run that was cheap.
Yeah.
Here we
are.
The
last thing I'll say real quick on Ellie is that I think we have a lot of recency bias on him right now. He struggled defensively on some routine balls over the last couple of weeks. But he was struggling everywhere. The kid was in his head more than any guy I've seen in a long time. Like,
sure,
he was in his head offensively. He was in his own head defensively, just all over the place. And he's 21. He's going to have those moments, right? So in my opinion, at least you give him ample opportunity. He's shown the ability to make really good plays, the difficult plays. I'm not ready to move on from him at shortstop.
The Reds aren't going to either, so I don't know. I mean, no. It's fun to talk about it and all that, but I mean, let's be honest. They're not going to do that. All right, folks. We got runners on the corners. Tauchman up to plate. Yates on the mound for the Braves. He comes set for the 0-0 and he misses inside. It's going to be a ball and no strikes. The Cubs, again, have bullpen issues. The Braves have the best offense this Major League Baseball league has seen in a very, very long time. It feels like it should be over, but I'm still got a little slight hope here. But we definitely need an out. If we don't get this out, then I kind of will, to be honest, ready to throw in the towel. So here we go. 2-0 to Tauchman. And he steps off the mound because there is something going on that he doesn't like. Tauchman on the season's 255, 8 home runs, 48 RBIs. Sure enough, what happens when you hit a guy, Nick? What happens when you give guys free bases? They come around to score, and that's what happened for the Cubs.
That's what happened to the Reds today, too. Daniel Duarte's run was a walk.
See, I don't really believe that, Roger. I know what you're trying to get at a little bit about moving guys. I just don't think that's what's best for the team right now. I mean, you obviously are entitled to your own opinion. I'm not saying that you're even wrong. I think that Ellie could end up being an elite level center fielder. He's certainly got the speed. He's got all the intangibles that you would want. It just, for me, for a guy that's been touted as one of the best defensive shortstops that they've seen come through the system in a long time, to just try to move him because he's had a little bit of a rough spell for a month and a half in his rookie campaign of his big league careers, it's just not going to happen. They're not going to move him, but I get your point, and I don't think that's what's best for the team. I think what's best for this team is to have an unbelievable shortstop, if that's what he ends up being. Now, I'm with you. If he's going to make and boot routine ground balls and he's going to have 13 errors and all these things, I think me and Craig aren't going to argue that, he needs to move positions if he's not going to be able to be relatively elite defensively. But I'm just not giving up on the fact that he might be elite defensively at shortstop. So, all right, the 2-2. Go ahead.
people are in love with this idea of Ellie's range in the outfield and in center field specifically. I mean, range at shortstop matters, but also what has TJ Friedel not shown an ability to have range and make outstanding plays in the outfield too? For me personally, I get the like infatuation with the idea of him in center field ranging and making all these diving plays and jumping and robbing home runs and all this other stuff. But like, it's not a problem. Center field is not an issue. Like,
you could say, listen. If I would tend to agree with this. Okay, I would actually say I'm okay with moving. We have a flare out to left field, and they got a guy there. Thank the Lord. All right, we head to the bottom of the ninth. Braves down 4-3, but don't fear. They have Olsen, Ozuna, and Harris to bat. 3 guys that are pretty good hitters, if you don't know. We are in a position now with Elly De La Cruz that we could sit here and have fun and talk about it and see if the Cubs win, but they're just not moving them. And TJ Friedel's been unbelievable in center. But here's the thing I would actually say, you know what? Let me jump on Roger's side and play a little devil's advocate, and let's all have a little bit of fun for a second. If we had a shortstop, Craig, that I thought was elite level defensively, and he had a spot, people are going to say, "Oh, that's Matt McLain, Trace." Well, then you have a hole in second. So it's like, I don't know how much of we're fixing one problem to create another. And I don't know if we're really fixing a problem, right? That's the thing. But let's just say, devil's advocate, if there was an elite level shortstop that we were ready to have right now, I'm okay with the idea of Elly going to center field, because Friedel moving to left would probably make this outfield really good defensively, right? Like very, very good. The thing is that you're also assuming, you're making major assumptions here that you're thinking, like Craig said before. Just assuming that Ellie's going to be great in center field is one thing. It doesn't mean that he's going to. Jose Barrero never really looked comfortable in the outfield, in my opinion. Senzel never really looked comfortable in the outfield, in my opinion. Could you imagine if the Reds moved Elly outside of his natural position that is shortstop, and he goes into the outfield per se, and starts to struggle? Then all of a sudden everyone's going to blame the fact that they Senzel Elly De La Cruz. So I don't know. Matt Olson, 53 home runs this year. That's most in Major League Baseball for those that are counting. Michael says, Super Chat says, who gets a contract this offseason from the Reds? Think they try to go to the Braves route and sign several young guys for longer-term contracts? That's a good question. I hope they don't. I know people are going to crush me for that, but I hope they don't, Craig. If they do, then it has to be Elly or McLain, and that is literally it. Maybe Marte, but one of the 3, as long as it's a great team-friendly deal like the Braves have gotten. If they're not going to get a Braves deal, then I don't want it.
No, as much as the young guys have contributed this year, you've got them under control for most of them under control for anywhere from 4 to 6 more years.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, that's not what this team does. Would it be nice to lock up some of those guys long term and hope that they pan out? Maybe, but we're also talking about a chat who questions the Hunter Green signing that we made last year because it hasn't panned out perfectly. Now, Hunter Green's still your number 1 pitcher, but there were a lot of people that doubted whether or not that contract is worth it and that we overpaid. And Nick broke this down previously. I'm not going to go into it as well, but the contract that we paid him is not even that high of a payday for a quality starting pitcher in this league. And yet people are questioning it. And now you're going to ask the question, which I respect, Michael. I think it's a valid question. It's just not what the Reds do. The payroll is not that high. They're going to take team control for as long as they can and ride that out. Because for a couple of reasons, not only is that not their style, but this farm system is so deep that if you do happen to lose one of these guys, which again, we don't want to lose any of them, but if you do happen to lose one of them down the road, you've got people in the farm system ready to step up. People were asking about Arroyo already. He just made it to AA like 2 weeks ago. So there's lots of guys in the pipeline ready to go. So if you do happen to lose someone, it would suck, but it's not the end of the world, and it's just not what the Reds do.
Yeah, I don't think the Reds should be in the business of really signing anybody like super long term anymore. Ozuna's 3-0.
You give them their green light?
There's one out, and I'm giving them the green light, everybody. Green light. Hit this ball of country mile. Kid show. Hit it out of here, Ozuna. Hit it out of here. Stay fair. Stay fair. Get out of here. Get out of here. Game's tied. Game's tied. Game's tied. Season's back on. 3-0. Get out of here.
I guess we gave him the green light.
Don't know ball. Don't know ball. Who don't know ball?
Four.
Thanks, Craig.
Oh
my gosh.
413 feet to left center.
You thought we were dead.
Who?
Listen.
Not me.
No, not you. I'm just saying.
Not me.
Hey, listen, everybody. Listen, can we talk? Let's just end it. Let's end it, okay? Harris is up. Let's not stop now. That ball's tanked to center. Get down. Get down. Get down. Get by him. Come on. Come on. Get to third. Get to third. Come on. No, he stopped at second. Guy at second base. Second base, one out, and the Braves are just nasty. They are nasty. My heart's racing, dude.
Sean Murphy up, but not before a mound visit.
Michael's asking for the reflection of the other game. Oh, man, I tell you what, next year I'm going to have some ideas, okay? I just don't want to get us kicked off YouTube.
I'm with you, Michael. I'm technically in the Braves broadcast zone, so I don't get the game.
I'd love to give you a VPN. Do you have a VPN?
I don't know. I don't know how to set that up on my TV fast enough to be able to get this going.
What about? Yeah, I was gonna say on your computer.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's all good. Because by the time you did that, Sean Murphy's going to walk this off, so we wouldn't even need it. Bottom of the ninth, one out. Sean Murphy at the plate, 0 for 3 on the day with a strikeout. Michael Harris at second base after a double to right fielder. Who?
I can't believe this.
Seiya Suzuki. The Cubs are making a pitching change. Mark Leiter Jr. out. Jose Cuas in. Cuas was the one that gave up the runs last night, wasn't he?
I listen.
I think he was.
I just gotta say, I mean, nobody's presented me more gifts than the Cubs bullpen since Santa Claus. I tell you, the Cubs bullpen's giving Santa Claus a run for his money. I just like God's honest truth, man. As soon as you think you're done, you just get roped right back in. I was sitting here thinking about how I was going to tell all of you how much I love you, how unbelievable this season's been. And I mean, sure enough, here we go. I mean, sorry, Chi-Town. I'm sorry, guys. What's funny is it's just me, man. I'm excited. You know, I'm not even trying to really do anything crazy. What do you want me to do? Seiya, whatever his name is. Why do you say that kid's first name? Seiya Suzuki?
Seiya, yeah.
Seiya Suzuki. I mean, he last night dropped a fly ball that I'll be honest with you. You could hit that same fly ball to me 250 times, and I'm catching 250 of them. Now, you guys might think that I'm lying about that, but I'm telling you the truth. That's beside the point, because tonight they come back, they give up the lead, they take the lead, and then sure enough, here we are again, and they give the lead right back. And I'm getting a highlight from April 10th of freaking Sean Murphy's walk-off against the Reds. So maybe it's time for a little payback. All right, here we go. Sean Murphy at the dish. The 0-0 pitch is a nasty one. Maybe they should put this kid in more. Cuellas coming in from the Cubs bullpen just threw a nasty slider. 0-1. Sean Murphy, a Dayton native, a Reds fan growing up, trying to deliver for his hometown team. Takes a ball inside. 1-1. Cuellas comes set at the ready. Checks second once, checks it twice. Pitch, low and inside, runs the count to 2-1. Some are saying this might be the greatest collapse since the Berlin Wall. That's not me saying it. That's somebody else. Cuellas, the 2-1, on its way. And that's a horrible swing by Sean Murphy. That pitch was so far outside the zone that I'm not sure that Sean Murphy's not seeing the ball well, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be a minor miracle if Sean Murphy puts the ball in play. I'll be quite frank. Cuellas with the 2-2. That ball is a mile outside. And by a mile, maybe 2 miles. Infield's going to have to come in. 3 balls, 2 strikes, full count, 1 out. Sean Murphy at the dish. Infield in for your Chicago Cubs. And by your Chicago Cubs, I'm talking about the ones that keep bringing you so much joy. And that would be our Chicago Cubs right now.
That ball was so far outside you can't even see it on Game Day Live because it was so far outside.
All right. The 3-2 on its way. Murphy dribbling to third base. It's not going to get the run in. And that will be a ground out 5-3 put out for your Cubs. 4-4. Sean Murphy not able to get it done for the second night in a row. And I'm actually appreciative that they did not run the contact play there. That gives Kevin Pillar, who pinch hit earlier in the game, he popped out to Nico Horner. So he's 0 for 1. He's hitting .229 on the season with 9 home runs. It'd be nice to see just one more RBI. He stands at the plate with 31 of them. 32 would keep the season alive for the Cincinnati Reds. David Ross looks on, and he's questioning whether or not he's got a good baseball team. The 1-0. That's a ground ball up the middle. Nico Horner's there, though. Makes the play, and we're going to head to extras. That was a hard hit ball right as the middle. Give the Cubs credit. They had the scouting report. Nico Horner standing directly behind the second base bag, but that's not before Ozuna on a 3-0 pitch said, I'll take care of that. Ties the game at 4, and we're going to head to extras. We'll keep you updated, and we will stay on stream basically just to watch this game. Craig,
the Cubs bullpen, the gift that keeps on giving. That's right. Real quick, I know you have the Cubs game on lock. I've got the Marlins game on now. They are in the top of the 8th, 2-2 ball game. The Marlins have runners on first and third, 2 outs though, and Jacob Stallings at the plate with a 1-1 count.
I see in play outs. What do you see?
Stallings ground ball to third base, makes the throw across the diamond. Alonso makes the stretch, and we're going to the bottom of the 8th, tied 2-2.
All right, I'm gonna have to get that game on my television too, boys, ladies and gentlemen. What a world of events we're watching now. If the Reds would have won today, this would be an all-timer. But you know what? They didn't, so here we are anyways. But my goodness gracious.
And the Mets have the top of the order coming up. Nimmo, Mauricio, Alonso.
This is crazy.
Bang, bang, bang.
This is crazy. Oh, man. Duplicate. I'm going to get a headache. I'm going to have to get some ibuprofen. Booking.com. No free ads. That's on me, chat. That's on me. All right, I got them both up now. All right, Chavez is coming in here. All right, we got the Cardinals next, as many of you know. I don't know how Nick Kirby's gonna do this podcast. He best of luck to him. Best of luck to him. I don't know what he's gonna do, but record and extra innings so far this season. The Chicago Cubs are 3-4. The Braves are 7-3. As a reminder, there is a Manfred man on second base, so we have a man on second base with nobody out. Chavez coming in to pitch for the Braves. Nico Horner, great player, is up to bat for the Chicago Cubs. He takes a ball outside, making the count 1-0.
The Manfred runner is Mike Tauchman, for those that are wondering. Not exactly a speedster, so it's going to take a real base hit to bring him in.
That is a flare down the right field line, but it's going to go into the seats, making it 1-1. Count evens at 1, top of the 10th. Man on second, nobody out. Packed house in Atlanta. The Braves looking for their 102nd win of the season. Looking to lock down the home field advantage throughout the entire postseason. That ball smacked into right field. A bad play by Acuna Jr., and it's going to allow a tag of Tauchman to get to third. A misplay a little bit by Acuna, and unfortunately, the league's MVP more than likely made a little bit of a bad read. He was able to backtrack and catch the baseball to give one out, but unfortunately, it did allow Tauchman, whatever the hell that guy's name is, to get to third base. All right. Chi-Town Real Estate wants a free ad. I'll give it to him. If you're looking for real estate in Chicago, get a hold of Chi-Town Real Estate, Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. I'll tell you who's going to need. I'll tell you who's going to need to sell their house soon. Is going to be David Ross. All right, here we go.
Mike Tauchman's sprint speed 49th percentile, average.
Okay, I would assume that the infield's going to be in for the Braves. Ian Happ, the infield is in for the Braves. Ian Happ is at the plate. Chavez gleams in through his glasses because he wears sunglasses at night. That ball's rolled over foul for a ground ball, making it 1 ball, 1 strike. Nemo's battling currently for the Mets to get the leadoff runner on. He is ahead in the count, 2-1. Chavez to the plate. Misses with a breaking ball outside. Nemo takes a strike, and it's 2-2 on the Mets leadoff hitter. Ian Happ 2 for 4 on the game. Looking to get Tauchman in from third. Chavez comes set, he delivers. That ball is going to be driven to right center field. It's going to get the run in. Acuna goes over, makes a play. What a great play from the Atlanta Braves. Harris was coming on hard. Acuna was coming on hard. There had to be a great communication right there. Harris made the play, and fortunately for the Braves, that could have been a disaster. Very similar to the ball last night the Chicago Cubs botched. The Braves were able to find a way to make the play. Unfortunately, the Cubs did score. However, with the Manfred man being on, it is not as big of a deal. 5-4 Cubs. Cody Bellinger comes to the plate with nobody on. This is a man you definitely want to be careful with. Chavez, however, challenges him with the fastball, and he's going to get in the head in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Marlins get the leadoff hitter out, and Marcia will be on. Will be up for the Mets. Umpire misses strike 3 on Cody Bellinger. And he misses with another pitch inside. That'll run the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Everybody's scoreboard watching. Everywhere, everyone is scoreboard watching. The Marlins are scoreboard watching. The Reds are scoreboard watching. And certainly, Chicago Cubs fans are sending a prayer to the heavens that hopes that their bullpen can find a way to get them out of it. What a great piece of hitting right there by Cody Bellinger. I mean, unbelievable. That kid is a great player. Base hit to left field by Bellinger. That'll mean put a man on first base. So that'll make you feel a little bit better, I guess, if you want to make yourself feel a little bit better. What a great pitch by Chavez. Bellinger stays on the changeup, just pokes it into left field. That's one of those balls where, it won't go down as a hard hit ball because he didn't hit it hard, but he hit it where they weren't. And he just poked it into left field, and he did it. What a great piece of hitting. Well, the man of the night last night, the people's champion, Seiya Suzuki, will step in, and he's going to try to right a wrong from the night before. He's 0 for 3 on the night, and he's down 0-2 right off the bat.
For those asking, Kevin Pillar will be the Manfred runner for the Braves unless they choose to pinch run.
Do you have his baseball savant percentile?
73rd percent on sprint speed.
All right, so not bad.
We'll take it.
I'd just like the Braves to hit one out. They're good at those things. Unfortunately, the Braves do have the bottom of their lineup coming up. That would be the bad news.
Well, they've got Arcia and then the top. So Arcia, who's over 3 on the day.
I guess you're right. I just didn't think they got through that many guys the last inning. I wasn't paying attention.
Yep.
I mean, I was paying attention.
Yep. So you've got Arcia and then Acuna and Albies due up. And then if we get to them, Austin Riley and Matt Olson. So,
yep. Acuna and Albies will bat. Thank you, BRH.
Pete Alonso, deep drive to left field. Oh, it's off the top of the wall.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Oh, my God. That ball was so close to being gone. They called
it a home run on the graphic, bro. Did you see that?
Oh, my gosh. Wow, that ball was so close to being gone. Alonso will end up on second, but show a replay.
They ran the home run. Did you see that? They ran the home run graphic. They ran the home run graphic on the broadcast.
Oh, it's not a home run. It's definitely off the top of the wall.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
3:35 to left. That's going to be Wooded Dong. That's going to be Wooded Dong in a lot of parks too. I'd be willing to bet that thing's over. That's a home run in more than half the ballparks.
Let's see. I can tell you.
13 of 30. Craig just said it was. Who did you say it was? 73 percentile in speed.
Pillar, yeah. The Mets now runner on second and first after an intentional walk.
Yep.
Will bring up.
It's a lefty on lefty.
Lefty on lefty with Stewart.
It literally hit the yellow line, folks.
Yep.
It literally hit the line that goes across the top of the wall. Alex Wallace says that was a home run in 13 out of 30 parks.
13. Yep.
Man.
Ball in the dirt, blocked by Jacob Stallings. It's 1-1. 1-1 now to Stewart.
We need the Braves to get us through one more inning. It feels like, can I be honest, chat? It feels like if the Braves can extend this just one more inning, they win the game.
The 1-1 to Stewart is down and out again. It's now 2-1. I apologize. 2-1 to DJ Stewart. He is 0 for 3 on the night. 2 strikeouts and a flyout.
Yep. 260 hitter on the year.
Yep.
Oh, man. Steve Cashman asks, do you bunt here? I would bunt, but I know that no one else could bunt here, so I know. But I would bunt, to be clear, yes.
I would with your 9-hole hitter. If it was somebody else, maybe not, but I actually don't mind bunting in this situation, especially with the top of your lineup due up afterwards. Next pitch is outside from Matt Moore. 3-1 now to Stewart. Stallings will call timeout and go out and have a chat.
I need good vibes on this Braves game. I got a bad feeling, but I need it to turn around. Chat, can you pick me up here? I don't know why I got a bad feeling on this Braves game. I need to pick me up, man.
Good vibes.
Yeah, I just feel like if we can just get through this one more inning, man, find a way to get through this one more inning. And it's this thing that sucks is the Cubs really didn't do crap to earn a run there. A couple fly balls, likes would be great. That gets the runner to third. That's a ground ball to the right side. Nico Horner throws out Arcia. That gets the runner to third base. That is a huge at-bat from Arcia. Brings up the league MVP in Ronald Acuna Jr. He's 1 for 4 in the day. You have to be tempted to walk them. I know that that's a little wild. Maybe he would steal second base. I don't know.
Maybe he would steal second base.
I guess you pitched him.
You've got Ozzie Albies on deck, who's 2 for 4 on the day with 2 RBIs.
Did he not get to third base? Why does the graphic still say second base?
My graphic is saying third, but maybe the TV.
Okay, yeah. TV graphic just changed. Thank the Lord. I was like, what am I? What? See,
the DJ Stewart popped up to the catcher. By the way, third out on the inning.
1-0.
We head to the 9th in New York, 2-2.
1-0 to Acuna. Fastball right down the middle, and he missed it. Man, he missed it. 98 miles an hour. Palencia challenged him. 1 ball, 1 strike on a guy hitting .335 with 41 home runs, 103 RBIs, and 1,000 OPS. Could you imagine having a guy like that? My gosh. The 1-1 to Acuna. Step up, baby. Need you, Acuna. Another 100-mile-an-hour fastball that Acuna is not able to handle. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. This is what I'm talking about. This is the type of, listen to me. Chad asked me earlier, what does this bullpen not have? The Reds have. They don't have this. I mean, we don't have a guy out here just throwing 101 mile an hour. We just don't. I mean,
in-play runs.
Oh my God! Thank you, Craig. Be a double. That ball sizzled the right side. Way to be an idiot and throw a slider right there. Way to be an idiot. I mean, with all due respect, I know he's the best player in the game, but he didn't look all that thrilled to try to hit that 100 and 101 mile an hour fastball. And you want to try to throw a slider by the best hitter in baseball. Good, yeah, nice. That little cement mixer. What a great idea that was. Who called that pitch? All right, we're stealing second base, right? How could you throw a slider there? I mean, I know nothing about baseball, but how do you slow the bat down for him? You give him a chance. They pitch out, down. He is safe. Safe at second. Winning runs in scoring position. Ozzie Albies at the plate. What's up, Greg?
70th. That's Acuna's 70th stolen base on the year.
40-70. He just picked up the bag like a boss bitch. I know this is a kid's show, but he's just taking that bag. Look at him. He's coming. They're coming out to change the bag and everything. They couldn't just keep the bag out there.
Couldn't just grab it later.
Yeah, like after the game. Who's going to steal the bag? Who's going to steal the bag? I'm confused.
I love on game day it says game advisory on-field delay. Well, while we have this on-field delay, the Marlins are up in the top of the 9th. They have Xavier Edwards leading off, and then it'll be the top of their lineup with John Birdie and Josh Bell.
Can the Mets
and Xavier
and the
Edwards
Braves
sends one through the left side for a single, and he will be on base to start the 9th for the Marlins.
That's tough.
John Birdie, who is like the last person you would have expected to step up for the Marlins, but he has been smoking the ball lately. I think he's got 3 home runs in his last 4 games. Not exactly what you expect out of a leadoff hitter, but he has been on fire. So not excited to see him up right now in this situation.
Ronald Acuna Jr., dude. I mean, that's an unbelievable season. I'm sorry, but that's like almost fake.
Is that what we have to look forward to for Ellie De La Cruz in the future?
I mean, I think that's being very, 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 very unfair to Ellie. But if it is, boy, that would be something amazing. Are you telling me there's in-play runs? That ball's ripped down the right side. There's a chance. Says Seiho Suzuki to the plate. Albies, he scores. This season is not dead. Holy shit. This is a kid show. But I got to tell you, as soon as you think they're done, they're not. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Now we're back to the Marlins. The Mets are trying to find a way to win this game. The Marlins do have a leadoff runner on first base with nobody out. He takes off to go to second, and that's the slowest pitch in mankind history to the plate. Ottavino legitimately is 9 seconds to the plate. So the Marlins do have a runner on second base with nobody out in the top of the ninth.
Ozzy Albies. Real quick, while we have that going, that loss drops Chicago to 82-76. The Reds currently sit at 81-78. So still within reach. And again, don't forget Chicago still has the game against Atlanta tomorrow, and 3 in Milwaukee. So who knows how that'll go. As John Birdie sends one up the middle, it is gloved by Jose Lindor, but not in time. And the Marlins have the first 2 runners on base, first and third in the ninth.
Team speed matters, man. Team speed matters. And, I mean, the one thing that we don't give the Marlins a lot of credit for is just the fact they got guys that can run a little bit. And I got to be honest with you, they've not hit any balls hard this inning, but they've hit them. They've put the ball in play on the ground. You know, you put the ball in play on the ground, you give yourself a chance to be safe. And Francisco Lindor just wasn't able to make that play.
Yeah, did I just say Jose Lindor?
I don't know who you said. What'd you say?
I don't know either. Dylan is saying that I said Jose. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Lindor gloved it. Couldn't get the out. Birdie steals second and third now.
Can we talk about a half? Can we talk really quickly? If let's just say hypothetically, of course, the Marlins win this game. Where are we at? Do we need them to lose too? I know, but we're going to be what, a game and a half back of them?
Yeah, if Miami wins this, they sit at 82-76. You're a game and a half back still.
So two full games, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, them and Chicago would be tied. So Miami and Chicago would both be sitting at 82-76 in the 3 spot. Arizona did pick up a W earlier today against the Chicago White Sox. They're currently 84-74. Feels a bit out of reach at this point for the Reds to think about potentially catching Arizona. But at the same time, Arizona does have 3 against Houston, who is still in a race for the AL West, so anything is possible. But yeah, Chicago and Miami certainly feel attainable at this point. If Miami does drop this one, they'd be 81-77 and only a half game ahead of the Reds. And again, the Chicago Cubs just cannot string together some dubs right now. So
no, I get it. Listen, the game and a half is a big deal though, because we don't win the tiebreaker. So the Reds would have to sweep, and to be clear, the Reds would have to sweep, and the Marlins would then have to lose the series to Pittsburgh. Correct? That's where we would be. Oh my gosh!
The Mets brought the infield in, got the ground ball right at Brett Baty, and he booted it. Unbelievable, unforced error. Xavier Edwards will score, and the Marlins will take a 3-2 lead with still nobody out and the bases loaded. I mean, this ball was hit right at Brett Baty, and he just lifted his glove. It hit right off the bottom of his glove.
Yeah, the webbing. I hate to say this, folks. Listen. This isn't great, but the truth is that here's what has to happen. Let's refocus. The Pirates have to win their series. The Reds would have to sweep. That's where we're at. The other thing too, if you want to think of it this way, if the Pirates are able to win one of the first 2 games in that series, the Reds would go into the final game of the year with a chance to make the postseason.
And don't forget, the Reds are off tomorrow, but the Marlins are not. They still have another game against the Mets tomorrow. So, I mean,
yeah, I mean, what you're basically saying is there's a chance we could be 1 game back instead of 2.
Yep.
But I'm just assuming that they're not. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
The Reds have 3 games left. Everybody else has 4. So
I understand.
Could play into it.
Worst case scenario right now as we sit here. Man, that is a huge, huge error now.
Yep.
We got to strike out, everybody. So we have 1 out now with the bases loaded still, but we should have at least 2 outs with nobody in.
Yep. Jazz Chisholm striking out.
Yeah. But let's just be clear. I don't think that's true, BRH. Is that true? Yes, you're right. You are right, BRH. If the Marlins, just everybody, let's talk through this for a second. I need some help here. If the Marlins were to win this game, which it looks like they're going to, right? They're going to win this game. The Marlins are going to win this game. The Marlins win this game, and let's just say the Marlins were to win tomorrow. That puts them up 2 games, correct?
That would put them at 83 and 76. So yeah, 2.5.
Yeah. So they would. It would require. How is it 2.5? Wouldn't they?
Well, they'd be 83 and 76, and the Reds would be 81 and 78.
They wouldn't be. They'd be 2 games back if they went. If the
Games
Marlins,
back. 2 games back.
2 games back. So they would need a sweep. Reds would need a sweep. Marlins would need to get swept. So we need the Braves. We need the Marlins to lose either this game or tomorrow's game, and to have a real chance.
If the Marlins, Reds, and Cubs tie for the 3rd wild card, then the Marlins advance. Yep. And the Marlins.
Listen, the Cubs are killing them. The Cubs
tiebreaker.
The Cubs are killing themselves. I mean, with all due respect, like that's the team that should really be disgusted. And the Reds had every chance in the world, right? I mean, listen, you can't lose 2 or 3 to the Pirates and expect to win. What?
Turn 2.
No, you can't
what are you
turn
doing?
2 from there.
Nope.
Too far of a throw. At least you got the out at home. We'll take it.
Got the out at home. 2 outs now.
2 outs, 2-run game. I assume the Marlins have a good closer.
No, their closer is actually on paternity leave as of yesterday. So
love that.
Their closer has who had saved like 8 straight and was 3-1 in the last month.
Who is that running? And he is hurt.
Josh Bell.
Well, what's going on with Josh Bell? Seriously,
that was kind of funny.
That's okay. Like he's all right to do that.
Oh,
hey, there's 207 people in here watching us right now. Let me on.
Let Kirby on.
Oh well, sorry, I'm scoreboard watching. I mean, what's he want me to do? I mean, geez, Louise, give me a second here. I'm working on it. Did I miss something? What did I miss?
No. I don't think you missed anything.
All right.
Just the out of home and now Hamp's in it.
Nick, you should be able to. You should be in here, brother.
What's up?
Well, we're trying to keep the season alive, man. You aren't able to get it done, so we're trying to do it ourselves.
I did the best I could.
I know. Much love to you. I'm glad to see you're here.
I can't believe you guys are still on.
Well, I mean, what do you want us to do? The season.
We're scoreboard watching, baby.
Season's still alive, Nick.
Well, the Marlins aren't.
No. You're not going to come on this stream. You're not going to come on this stream and start talking about this. No, that's not it.
Who we got up? Who we got up here?
Hampson.
Please tell me Alonso's due.
Hampson just struck out.
Yeah, I saw. No. I got it on.
Oh, so you're ahead of all of us. You come on here, now you're ahead of all of us. Like, well, what is this chat? This King's Ransom just comes in here. He's ahead of us.
Stupid DirecTV. The Mets have Beatty, Vientos, and Ortega due up.
Listen,
of the ninth. But Nick, we were just talking about it. The Marlins closer on paternity list now. They may have used him earlier in the game in the 8th based on the heart of the lineup being up, but they don't have their closer to go to. So the Marlins with a stretched out bullpen.
Did you get a little Mountain Dew there? Did you, Nick?
I got a little Taco Bell. I assumed you guys were done by the time I got home.
Yeah. He stopped by the bell. All right.
No free ads. No free ads.
Tanner says let Nick be negative. Yeah, he never is. We ought to let him be. But you know what? He wasn't here to see the miracle that was the Cubs deliver again.
I did see the Cubs. I came home. I literally walked in the door. I turned on the Cubs and I saw like one pitch and they did it. And then I was like, all right, well, let me see what these guys did on the stream tonight. And you guys are still on. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I better hop on. I think that's my job. So here
welcome,
I am.
Nick. I guess I'm happy for Andrea. I guess I don't know. We talked about it earlier. Did it feel like it in person too? That the game just like just the universe was for Tito tonight. Didn't feel like the Guardians really hit the ball hard. It just kind of
the whole. I don't know how much it came through on TV, but the whole stadium's chanting Tito like in the 8th inning on, like it was.
Yeah.
It's just a fun extra layer, you know.
What about Ozuna? What about Ozuna?
Did you guys? Someone's asking about Marte. I thought that was a terrible decision for him to run. I don't know what he was doing with Laureano out there. Like you can't get thrown out there. Did you guys talk about that?
No, but I didn't think it was a bad decision. I thought it was just being aggressive, to be honest, and he was safe. So, I mean,
was he safe?
He was safe. We don't want to talk about it. He was safe. He was very much safe.
That figures. It's hard. It's really hard to see like that kind of call in the stadium.
To be honest, he was out. He was out in the traditional sense, like the ball beat him there by a mile. So, I understand why people would think it was a bad decision. But he was safe. I mean, with all due respect, I get why New York hid behind the whole call stands thing again, because that's what they do. They're cowards. But I put it this way. I know this for a fact. This isn't even an opinion, Nick. If you would have taken every person in that replay center and you said right now you're gonna die if you get this wrong, pick which one you think it is. We know. God knows exactly which one it is. He's safe or out. Which one you picking? All those bastards would have been standing in the circle of safe.
But they always hide behind call stands when they can. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about the decision. I was right down the right field line. I mean, Laureano, he's known as having an elite arm. Like that's the only thing that guy does good. I don't know. I did not like that. I thought that was look, it's a young player trying to make a play. I'm not gonna kill Noelvi Marte, but it was a bad decision in my opinion.
Yeah. I had to go get me an orange deal here. No free ads.
All right.
This is all for the Mets, the Metropolitans. Find a way. Yeah, it's a good lefty on lefty matchup. One out for those that don't know. Mets are down to their last two.
Nick, where do you stand if Miami wins this game? You're 2 games back. 82 and 76. You're basically a game
do you need the scenarios? Did you guys not figure it out?
No, I think I know the scenario that if the Marlins were to win this game and they were to win tomorrow, the Reds would have to sweep and the Marlins would have to get swept.
Yep.
If they split, then they need to sweep, and then they need the Mets to lose, or excuse me, the Marlins to lose the series. And if somehow there's a miracle that happens right here, and the Mets were to win this game and tomorrow, then you just have to basically win one more game.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's only one. It's only one team that you would need that scenario to happen to. It would have been 2 if the Cubs would have won. So, I mean,
listen. Here's my goal right now. I know this isn't like what we all want. I have a goal in my head that would be awesome. Is can we just get to the last day of the season with just a chance? Like I know, even if it's not a good one, can we get to the last day? Can we make it until you can't say that we're done until the last day? And I promise you I'm going to print the shirts if that happens. And the shirts are going to be... If we make it to the last day, I'm printing the shirts, and the shirts are going to be like $5. I'm going to lose money on the shirts.
If we make it to the last day, do we need to watch the entire game on stream?
Yeah, if there's a chance of getting in, we'll
if the Reds make it to correct. If the Reds make it to the last day, we have a chance to get in. We'll watch the whole thing.
Even if it's You need a win and need someone else to lose.
By the way, I think I just invited myself to that watch party. So
no, you can be there.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
You're in, Craig. What happened in this? What happened in this game? Johnny Cueto started this game, and the Mets only scored 2 runs. How the hell did that happen?
Because they scored all the runs in the first game.
Jeez.
That's just like isn't that weird how that always goes in baseball? It's like,
yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure the Marlins were thinking, hey, we got to win the first game because we don't have a chance in the second game.
Yeah, I know. And instead, they gave up 2 runs. You're just ahead. Yeah, that was close. Oh, dude, what a life! What a listen. The fact that there's 200 plus people in here just living their life with us is awesome. You guys are the best, man. Sean said we're not eliminated yet. We're not, man. We're not. I mean, we're close, but we're not. You know what's wild is the thing that kind of stinks is like
ball 4 tied right at the plate. Tied right at the plate.
Nice, love that. The thing that I love is this. It's like at least we could all admit that the way the Reds have played lately, like the past few weeks, it kind of, at least for me, it's kind of made this a little more digestible. Like I can kind of feel like, you know what, they did their best, they just didn't have it in them. Like they just weren't good enough. It would have burned my ass if this team just battled their ass off and won like the last 7 of 12 games, or they won 8 of their last 11 or whatever it was, and the one of these teams like the Marlins got super hot or the Cubs got super hot and you lose by a game. Like that would have hurt a lot worse. This feels better, I guess. Maybe my brain's just telling me that, but it just genuinely feels like that.
And the Reds haven't necessarily played awful. Like they're 12-12 in September. Like it's not like they've been, but they also haven't like taken advantage either. So it's kind of like, well, it also kind of, I think that adds to it as well, where at least you're not going to the end of the year going, oh my gosh, the Reds finished the year like 5-15 or something. Like they played decent. They hung around, but they didn't do enough. So I don't know.
Jarek said that don't say die. Okay, I won't. I didn't say die. You're right. That kind of was on me. That was on me. I'm not saying we're not dead. Especially if Alvarez hits one over the fence.
Yeah, if you're one of the 200 in here, you must really have some good belief. I love it.
They just love Reds baseball.
What are you guys gonna do after they're done the World Series? had to stop myself there. What are you gonna do next?
Yeah, we got some off-season content. Come on now, we got some off-season content. We got some stuff to do. I have some really.
Wait,
cool
I gotta do this every night. I gotta do this every night.
No, I got some really. I do have some. I do have some really cool news that we're gonna announce. I'm hopeful that we're gonna announce probably after the World Series, maybe right around Thanksgiving at the latest. I have to tease that. Alex wants you to do a show every night, he says. We'll have some off-season stuff, everybody. We don't have to worry. And that is the game. All right. Marlins win 4-2. That hurts a little bit. And here's the thing, though. They're not officially dead. It definitely makes it to where tomorrow we're going to be watching the Mets and Marlins. And let's just play a little optimism here, Nick and Craig, for half a second before we end this show. Marlins lose tomorrow. Nick and Craig, you guys are quick enough on the fly to be able to pull this up, I hope. Can you give me the starting pitching matchups for the Pirates Marlins on Friday and Saturday? Do we have that expected starters? Do they have those out yet? You don't want to talk about it? Do we not want to talk about it? We want to
Friday
talk about...
Friday would for the Pirates would be some feller named Osvaldo Bido. He's made 8 career big league starts. He's got a 6.36 ERA this season. He had an ERA of 4.16 at AAA. Friday it would be Quinn Priester, who he did pitch pretty good against the Reds on Sunday. And then Sunday would be Mitch Keller. For the Marlins, though, it'd be some feller named Emmanuel, spelled with an E-N, Emmanuel De Jesus, Edward Cabrera, who's really good, and then Brian Hoeing. I think he's a reliever. I think they're saying that would be a bullpen game. So, I mean, the Marlins don't have good pitching either. So,
tomorrow in the Marlins-Mets game, the announced starters for Miami will be Jesus Luzardo. He's 10-9 on the year, 3.73 ERA. For the Mets will be David Peterson. We saw him a couple weeks ago, or not even a couple weeks ago. He's 3-8 on the year with a 5.37 ERA. So, not an ideal matchup there either.
Hey, let's focus on our own grass for a second. We got a chance to have a winning season on Friday. We'll see if we can't figure out a way to make that happen. And if we do, then we'll continue to scoreboard watch. If not, we'll have a discussion about what we all plan to do until the next time the Reds play meaningful baseball. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, what world are we living in where on September 27th, everybody, we got 200 plus of our closest friends watching 2 other teams play, and we think the Reds have a chance to make the postseason when they were supposed to win 64 games.
We haven't talked about it.
Go ahead.
We haven't talked about the Cardinals series a whole lot yet. The pitching matchups for that are out, and quite frankly are favorable for the Reds for the most part. I mean, Friday you're looking at Connor Phillips going up against Jake Woodford. On Saturday, you've got Brandon Williamson going up against Drew Rom. And on Sunday, Hunter Green looks to close out the season against Miles Mikolas. So the Reds have some opportunities if the standings will go their way. The Reds owe Miles Mikolas a loss after that last outing of his. I think he went 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs against us last time out. So we owe him a beatdown for sure.
Steve Ross asks, who has the tiebreaker between the Cubs and Marlins? The Marlins hold the tiebreaker over pretty much everybody. So the Marlins are a team that's just, they're going to be hard to get past. But, hey, here we are. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, think of the Marlins as they're tied with the Cubs, but they're ahead of the Cubs. I mean, they're in the driver's seat. I will say, though, if it's not us, it would be awesome if the Cubs don't make the playoffs. That would be a very, very beautiful silver lining and would make this weekend feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, the Marlins are a similar team to the Reds in terms of expectations. Nobody really expected the Marlins to be as good as they've been this year. They're a young team with some pieces who have spent the last couple of years getting better, surrounded with a couple of vets. I mean, they're right there. I mean, they went out and did add the piece in Arias who come in and compete for a batting title, but other than that, I mean, it's homegrown talent for the most part for them.
Adam in the chat is saying B-Will's on Friday now. I just checked. I guess the Reds changed it.
Yeah. Okay.
So they flip flop Phillips to Saturday now.
Do you think there's a chance they shut them down if the Reds don't get to a position where they're eliminated?
Shut down who? Phillips?
Yeah, they'll just start throwing bullpen games.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just maybe they're pushing Phillips back to take maybe a little bit of pressure off him. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're just you're trying to live another day. If B-Will, I guess he probably had a full. Well, yeah, the off days. I'm guessing they just say, hey, he gives us a better chance of winning on Friday, and we just want to keep this, going as long as we can. So that's probably what it was, in my opinion.
The question in the chat was, what time do they play tomorrow? The Mets and the Marlins will play at 7:10, and the Braves and the Cubs will play at 7:20, both on Eastern time. So, as always, Nick is locked and loaded and ready to go. The Diamondbacks play at 2:10 against the White Sox, although I've pretty much forecasted the Diamondbacks.
I think we're eliminated from the D-backs, right?
Yeah, the Diamondbacks are long gone. So,
2, 3, 3.5. I guess technically, if the Diamondbacks lost swept every single game and we won every game, we could still catch those bastards.
Which, hold on.
You never know.
Hold on. I'm not going to give up. If you want to give up, I'm not going to give up. If they were to find a way to lose tomorrow, okay? If they were to find a way to lose tomorrow, I don't like pop-ups. Come on, man. Let's see. What do we got? They got the Astros in a 3-game set. So I'm not saying it's probable, but the Astros are still playing for something.
Yeah.
The Astros are currently trailing 1-0 to the Seattle Mariners. It's the end of the third. That AL West race could certainly play a factor here. Currently, Texas holds a 2.5-game lead on that division over Houston. And then Seattle is 3 games back. The interesting part is that you're going to have 3 teams there vying for the division, and most likely only one of them will you'll have the division winner, and then one of them will be the wild card, because Tampa Bay has already clinched a spot.
Yeah.
And Toronto certainly looks like they're headed that way. So
yep.
Houston and Seattle will be battling for that wild card spot, most likely, and for the AL West. So who knows what will happen?
It's as simple as this. I mean, the Astros have to play. It's not like they're going to be trying to win every single one of those games. Like they're not going to be thrown off. That those are going to be treated like Game 7 of the World Series 3 times in a row. So the only chance in the world is if the White Sox can get their head out of there, and actually win a game tomorrow. If they can do that, then you got a chance. And again, we're sitting here assuming the Reds are going to sweep the Cardinals, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on that, but not easy to sweep anybody. So, all right, fellas, I love you all very, very much. We are in a portion of the show where we have to say goodbye, but it's not forever. Tomorrow we do have an off day. We will be back here better than ever on Friday. Say a little prayer tonight. Hopefully we can figure out a way to watch the Marlins lose tomorrow, and the Diamondbacks. Why not? And of course, as always, the Cubs, because if anything, it's just going to be funny to watch the Cubs collapse, even if it means the Reds don't make it. We'll take. We won't be the bigger person here. We'll take pride in watching the Cubs fall apart. I mean, at least I will. I know that for a fact. So, otherwise, unless you guys got anything else to say, I'm going to sign us off of here. Got anything else to add, fellas?
Go Reds.
Greg?
Stay positive. It's not over.
You heard the man. He said it's not over. He said it's not over. Hey, if you like sports and you want to talk about it, I'll be on tomorrow from 10 to 12 on Off the Bench. Tom Brenneman will be back in the saddle on October 8th? Is that what it is? October 9th. October 9th, Tom Brenneman will be back full-time on Off the Bench. Got a whole plethora of other shows you can check out. And as always, you can remind yourself and you can remind everyone else that you love about Chatterbox Reds. Chatterbox Reds. Nick Kirby has poured his heart and soul into that podcast, and I'm here to tell you it's an elite podcast. It's not always this show either, by the way. He cuts it up. He takes time. He works hard. If it was me, that podcast would be ass, but that's here nor there. All right, everybody. I love you. Go Reds. See you Friday.